I was 37 years old, homeless, and curled up in the back seat of my faded blue Honda Civic when a sharp knock on the window dragged me out of a restless sleep. For a moment I thought it was my mother again, her voice still echoing in my head like a curse. "I always knew you'd fail, Claire." But it wasn't her. It was a police officer. His flashlight sliced across my face, bright and cold. "Ma'am, license and registration." Just another parking violation, I told myself. Just another night trying to survive. But when Officer Ramirez ran my license, something changed. His shoulders stiffened, his jaw locked. And when he approached my car again, his hand hovered dangerously close to his weapon. "Step out slowly," he ordered. "Keep your hands visible." My pulse hammered. "Officer, what's going on?" He swallowed hard. "Ma'am, there's a federal flag on your file from 1998. Homeland Security wants your exact location." My blood turned to ice. 6 months earlier, I would have laughed if someone told me I'd end up sleeping in my car. Back then, I was still Clare Dawson, 37, a project manager at a mid-sized interior design firm in Denver. Not rich, not glamorous, but stable. Safe. Or at least I thought I was. My family never let me forget I was the disappointment. At every holiday dinner, my mother, Linda Dawson, would give her usual backhanded compliments. "Claire works hard, for someone with her abilities. Not everyone can be like your sister, Megan." Megan, the golden child. Megan, the successful real estate agent. Megan, the daughter my mother wished she'd had twice. But I still tried. I kept showing up for birthdays, Sunday dinners, family barbecues, telling myself that if I tried harder, maybe they'd love me the way they loved her. I was wrong. The unraveling started on a Wednesday morning in April. I stopped by my mother's house to drop off some paperwork from Dad's old estate. She opened the door, looked me up and down, and sighed like my existence exhausted her. "What now?" she said, arms crossed. "Just need your signature," I said softly. "It's for the probate office." She signed without reading, thrust the papers back toward me, and muttered, 37 and still needing help. "I always knew you'd fail, Claire." The words stung, but they weren't new. They were just sharper than usual, like she'd been waiting to say them with extra venom. Later that week, my credit card was declined at the grocery store. Strange. I'd just paid it. I checked my account and froze. Thousands of dollars in charges I didn't recognize. Luxury items, restaurant bills, online purchases. I rushed to the bank. "Someone opened 2 additional cards in your name," the teller said gently. "In my name? When?" 3 months ago. Registered to an address in Englewood. Englewood. My sister Megan's neighborhood. A sick feeling crawled up my spine. I drove straight to her house, burst through the door, and found her and her husband, Jason Miller, sitting calmly at the kitchen island like they'd been expecting me. "Megan," I said, voice trembling, "why are there accounts in my name?" Her eyes didn't even flinch. "It was just temporary. Relax." "Relax? You stole my identity." Jason smirked. "Oh, come on, Claire. You weren't using your credit anyway." I felt my mouth fall open. "You ruined my credit. I could be charged with fraud." Megan shrugged. "Well, maybe you shouldn't be so dramatic." I turned to leave, furious, shaking, but before I reached the door, my mother stepped out from the hallway. She'd been listening. "Claire," she said coldly, "don't be ridiculous. Megan and Jason are building a real life. Maybe help them instead of whining." I stared at her. "You're taking their side? They committed a crime." She stepped closer, face sharp as glass. "You won't call the police," she hissed. "You don't have the spine, and you don't have a place in this family if you try." That was the moment something inside me cracked. 3 weeks later, the lawsuit arrived in my name for failure to pay the charges Megan and Jason made. My job cut my hours because of financial credibility concerns. My landlord refused to renew my lease. And when I begged my mother to let me stay a few nights in the guest room, she looked me straight in the eyes and said, "You made your bed, Claire. Now lie in it." So I did. In the back seat of my Honda Civic. In parking lots and side streets. Alone with the echo of her voice following me everywhere. "I always knew you'd fail." If someone had told me a year earlier that I would one day know exactly which Walmart lots were safest to sleep in, which gas stations wouldn't call the cops, and which rest stops had cameras pointed away from the parking lines, I would have laughed. But by month 2 of living in my car, I knew all of it by heart. My Honda Civic became my bedroom, my kitchen, my closet, and on the worst nights my coffin. I lined the back seat with old blankets from Goodwill. I kept a cheap plastic bin filled with crackers, fruit cups, and bottles of water. Every morning, I brushed my teeth in the cracked mirror at a gas station off Colfax Avenue, pretending I was just passing through. But the truth was brutal. I had nowhere to go. Every time I thought I was getting used to it, something small would break me again, like trying to wash my hair in a public bathroom sink, while two teenage girls whispered behind me, "Is she homeless? I think so. Look at her stuff." I pretended I didn't hear, but I heard every word. Nights were the worst. There's a certain kind of silence that only exists in a deserted parking lot at 2 a.m. Heavy, hungry, waiting. Trucks rumble by, random footsteps echo. Sometimes men knock on windows. Sometimes they don't knock at all. I learned to sleep with my keys in my fist, pointing between my fingers like claws. I learned to wake at the slightest shift of sound. I learned to ignore the cold that bit through my thin jacket. But what I couldn't ignore was the voice in my head. Not mine. "Mais toi, you always make everything worse, Claire. This is who you are. You were born to disappoint." Those phrases lived in my skull, louder in the dark. One night, after being woken up by a security guard banging on my window, I drove behind an abandoned outlet mall, parked, and broke down completely. I slammed the steering wheel until my palms hurt. "I'm not a failure," I whispered. But even I didn't believe myself. I thought about calling Megan. I even hovered over her contact. But I knew exactly what she'd say. I could hear her voice. "Claire, you can't make your problems my problems." Jason would laugh. My mother would say something sharp enough to slice skin. So I stayed quiet. Invisible. Like they had always wanted. My health began to slip first. I got headaches that lasted for days. My eyesight blurred when I was exhausted. And my chest grew tight from sleeping curled up in a car seat. Then the job offers slowed. Then stopped. One afternoon, I was sitting in a McDonald's using the free Wi-Fi when a woman approached me, smiling politely. "Hi. Sorry, are you okay? You seem tired." I forced a smile. "Just working." Her voice softened. "You've been here since morning." I didn't know how to answer. I felt exposed. Like my homelessness was printed on my forehead. That night I cried until my throat burned. I whispered into the darkness, "God, please, I just need one break, one sign, something." But the only answer I got was the buzzing street lamp outside flickering like it was about to die too. Then came the night everything changed. A Tuesday, or maybe Wednesday. I'd lost track. The cold seeped into my bones as I pulled my jacket over my chest and tried to fall asleep. I didn't notice the patrol car until the red-blue glow washed over the inside of my Civic. Then the knock came. Sharp, authoritative. The knock that would tear the lid off my entire past. The knock from Officer Ramirez. The knock wasn't loud, but it hit me like a gunshot. I jerked upright, my heart slamming against my ribs. For a second, I had no idea where I was. Only when I saw the cracked dome light, the pile of clothes on the passenger seat, and the frost gathering at the corners of the window did it click back into place. The Civic. The parking lot. Another night of trying to survive. I wiped the condensation from the glass with my sleeve and froze when I saw the uniform. The officer's flashlight swept across my face, bright enough to sting. "Ma'am," he said, voice firm but not unkind. "Roll down your window, please." I cracked it open an inch. Is everything okay?" "It's 1:47 a.m. This lot is closed after midnight. License and registration. Just a parking violation," I told myself. I'd had worse nights. My hands shook as I fumbled through my purse, but I forced a smile when I handed him the documents. He nodded and walked back to his patrol car. I watched him in the mirror, the way his silhouette glowed blue-white as he typed into his dashboard computer. I'd seen this a dozen times. Officers always checked if I had warrants, unpaid fines, anything to justify making my night worse. But this time, something was off. He leaned closer to the screen, squinted, typed something else. Then he went very still. I saw his posture shift, shoulders tensing, head tilting like he was reading something he couldn't believe. He looked at the monitor again, harder this time. Then he stood up straight. Too straight. He pressed the button on his radio. The calmness in his voice was gone. "Dispatch, this is Unit 8. I need you to confirm a federal notation on a civilian file." My stomach flipped. Federal? He spoke again, short, quick sentences I couldn't hear, but when he stepped out of the patrol car and started walking toward me, the air changed. His hand hovered near his holster, not grabbing it, but close enough to terrify me. "Ma'am," he said, stopping a few feet from my window. "I need you to step out of the vehicle. Slowly. Keep your hands where I can see them." My throat closed. "Officer, what did I do?" "Just step out, okay? Nice and easy." I opened the door, cold air rushing in like a slap. My legs trembled as I stood up. I could hear my mother's voice again. "I always knew you'd fail, Claire." The officer, Officer Ramirez? I could now read on his badge, kept his flashlight trained on my chest. "Turn around for me." I did. "Hands on top of your head." My breath came out in shallow gasps. "Please, you're scaring me." "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I don't want to, but this is protocol." He guided me to sit on the curb, his light still on me. I wrapped my arms around myself, shivering. "What's happening?" I whispered. He paused like he didn't want to say it. "Ma'am, when I ran your license, something came up." "What came up?" He took a slow breath. "There's a federal flag on your file." My pulse rocketed. "A what?" "A federal flag," he repeated. "An old one, from 1998. The world tilted. The explosion. Chew, Ethan. The night that scarred me before I even understood what fear was. I shook my head hard. That can't be right. I was 12 years old." Ramirez crouched down so we were eye level. His expression was apologetic and alarmed at the same time. "I don't know what it means yet," he said softly. "But when these flags pop up, we're required to notify Homeland Security immediately." My breath hitched. "Homeland Security?" He nodded. "And, Claire," they responded. Fast. He lifted his radio. "They want your exact location. They said they're sending someone right now." My vision blurred. My hands went numb. The past, the one I'd spent decades burying, was clawing its way back to the surface. Ramirez kept talking, but his voice sounded far away, because deep down, I already knew. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't random. Something that happened in 1998 had been following me, waiting, watching. And tonight, it had finally found me. I don't know how long I sat there on the curb, knees pulled to my chest, breath fogging in the cold air before I noticed the headlights. They weren't police headlights. Too large, too dark, too quiet. A black SUV rolled into the empty lot like a shadow sliding across ice. No sirens, no flashing lights, just slow, deliberate movement. Officer Ramirez straightened immediately. "They're here," he muttered. My heart stopped. I watched the SUV park directly in front of my Civic, blocking it in as if expecting me to run, even though I was shaking too hard to even stand. The back door opened. A woman stepped out, tall, dark coat, badge clipped to her belt, expression unreadable. She walked toward me with the kind of composure that only comes from years of dealing with danger most people don't even know exists. "Claire Dawson?" she asked. Her voice was cool, professional, but something in her eyes softened when she saw my state. Dirty sneakers, tangled hair, my whole life stuffed into the backseat of a car. "Yes," I whispered. I'm Claire." She nodded once. "I'm Special Agent Olivia Hartman with Homeland Security." It was an appearage parrot installed without raporous fires of his now. Homeland Security. The words didn't feel real. They felt like fiction, like I'd fallen asleep and slipped into somebody else's nightmare. Ramirez stepped aside, like this was her scene now. And it was. Agent Hartman took a slow breath, as if preparing herself. "Claire, I need to verify something before we continue. Your mother is Linda Dawson?" My pulse stumbled. "Yes. And your maternal uncle was Ethan Walker?" My entire body went still. A memory slammed into me, one I'd buried so deep I thought it had died. A fireball, screaming. My mother dragging me away. Red and blue lights swirling across broken glass. I felt like I was 12 again. "H. How do you know that?" I whispered. Hartman exchanged a brief glance with Ramirez before continuing. "May we speak inside the vehicle?" she asked. I frowned. "Inside my car?" She nodded. "It's more private, and this conversation needs privacy." Against every instinct screaming in my skull, I followed her to the Civic. She slid into the passenger seat. I took the driver's side. Ramirez hovered outside. Hartman opened a reinforced tablet and typed in several credentials. After a moment, she turned the screen toward me. A photo appeared. It was Uncle Ethan, young, uniform crisp, eyes kind. I slapped a hand over my mouth. That's him. He was my favorite. Hartman nodded. He wasn't just military personnel, Claire. He worked in classified operations for a defense contractor that collaborated with federal intelligence. In 1998, Ethan uncovered evidence of internal data leaks involving experimental technology the government desperately wanted to protect. Kriegers. In need Johnstead. Which, the why aster getting to do, my eyes widened. He never told us, I whispered. He couldn't, she replied. And that secrecy got him killed. A cold wave crawled down my spine. Killed? They said it was an accident. Hartman tapped the tablet again. A photo appeared from a crime scene. Twisted metal. Burnt earth. A vehicle explosion. I saw the corner of a child's pink jacket in the frame mine. I felt sick. Is that from that night? Hartman's voice softened. Yes, you were there, Claire. You witnessed the aftermath. A tremor shot through my hands. I remember the fire, I said. I remember Mom pulling me away. She said a gas tank blew. She said it wasn't safe to look. Hartman hesitated. Your uncle left a note for his commanding officer. A contingency plan, in case he didn't survive. In that note, he wrote that if anything happened to him, a protective notification flag should be placed on someone he trusted. Someone he trusted? My voice cracked. You mean, me? She nodded. He believed you might be targeted or used one day. He insisted Homeland Security be alerted if your life ever showed signs of severe distress. A chill shot through me. Severe distress? Like being homeless? Like being financially sabotaged? Hartman corrected quietly. Like being isolated. Like losing your housing abruptly. Like someone systematically dismantling your stability. My breath caught. Someone systematically dismantling my life. Megan. Jason. Mom. Hartman slid another image onto the screen. A grainy photograph taken in 1998 outside a warehouse. A woman speaking to a man whose face was partially hidden. The woman was my mother. I recoiled. No, that's not. It's her, Claire. Hartman said gently. Linda Dawson had access to financial databases at the company where the leak originated. We believe she was manipulated, or paid, to move files. We also believe Ethan confronted her the night he died. My pulse thundered. My mother? She wouldn't. Hartman shook her head. We're not accusing her of murder. But Claire, there are patterns, risks, motives. I felt the air leave my lungs. My mom ruined my credit, I whispered. She defended my sister and Jason when they committed identity fraud. She kicked me out. She didn't want me near the family anymore. Hartman's voice dropped. We think she feared you might uncover something from the past. Something she's been trying to bury for decades. I stared at the tablet, at the photo of my mother with that stranger. Why tell me this now? Because the flag your uncle placed on you was triggered, Hartman said. Something in your life matched the risk parameters. My voice cracked. Being homeless? Being betrayed? No, she said softly. Being targeted. The words hit so hard my vision blurred. You are not here by accident, Claire. You were pushed here. And as her words sank in, I realized everything, every betrayal, every financial blow, every cruel dismissal, wasn't just cruelty. It was a cover-up. A cover-up for what happened in 1998. And for the first time in my life, I understood why my mother always looked afraid when someone mentioned Uncle Ethan's name. Agent Hartman drove us to the Boulder field office just before dawn. The building was cold, metallic, and too bright. Every fluorescent light felt like it was aimed directly at my fear. They gave me a cup of tea. My hands shook too badly to hold it. Claire, Hartman said, sitting across from me. I'm going to show you something that may be difficult. But I need you to understand why your uncle flagged you. I nodded, even though every nerve in my body screamed no. She tapped her tablet. A new image appeared, a scanned document. Faded edges, government stamps. The heading read, Classified Interview, Linda Dawson. May 12, 1998. My throat closed. That's my mother's name, I whispered. Yes, Hartman said. She was interviewed after your uncle's death. My pulse hammered in my ears. She played an audio file. A low, shaky female voice filled the room. I didn't know they'd kill him. They told me it was just files. I didn't know Ethan would find out. I grabbed the table. No, that can't be her. Hartman paused the recording. Claire, please. That isn't her voice, I insisted. My mother wouldn't cry like that. She would never admit weakness. But the truth strangled my sentence. She would cry, if her fear was big enough. Hartman continued softly. Your mother was working as a financial clerk for a defense contractor. Someone approached her, someone connected to the leak, and paid her to move encrypted files into a vulnerable directory. She didn't know what was in them? I whispered. Hartman shook her head. Maybe not. But she knew it was wrong. She knew it could hurt someone. I covered my face with both hands. And Ethan found out. It's ternixably, yes. And confronted her? Yes. I felt like the ground was tilting under me. Why didn't they arrest her? I demanded. She cooperated, Hartman said. She provided names, contacts. That information helped us, but it was too late to save Ethan. After that, Linda Dawson disappeared from the investigation. I laughed, a hollow, broken sound. Of course she disappeared. She buried the whole thing under suburbia and PTA meetings. My chest tightened. All the years my mother scrutinized me, all the ways she tore me down, all the cruel comparisons to Megan, suddenly made horrifying sense. She wasn't protecting Megan. She was protecting herself. I felt a bitter taste in my mouth. She hated when I asked about Uncle Ethan, I said. She'd shut me down instantly. Because you were close to him, Hartman replied gently. And because she feared you might remember something from that night. My voice cracked. But I was 12. I barely remember anything. Hartman's gaze sharpened. That doesn't mean you didn't see something. A tremor shot through me. I swallowed hard. Are you saying I'm in danger? Claire, she said quietly. Someone close to your mother, someone connected to that old leak, is active again. We think they're pressuring her. And we believe your family's recent behavior was not random. I felt sick. You mean Megan and Jason opening credit cards in my name, ruining my life, kicking me out? Hartman finished for me. They were isolating you, keeping you weak, distracting you. I shook my head violently. No. My sister is selfish and cruel, yes, but she isn't part of this. She's not this kind of evil. Hartman took a breath, then slid another photo toward me. It was Megan, standing outside a restaurant, talking to a man with the same build, same posture as the man in the 1998 warehouse photo with my mother. My heart stopped. She's working with him? I whispered, voice trembling. Why would she? Money, Hartman said simply. Protection. Or maybe she doesn't even understand who he is. But Jason knew. My stomach flipped. Jason, the calculating, smirking husband who treated me like trash, was involved. I felt a scream rising in my throat. I want to confront them, I snapped. Right now. Hartman raised a hand. No, not yet. They're volatile. And your mother? She's terrified. She's been living under pressure for 25 years. If you confront her alone, she may panic or lash out. I don't care, I cried. I need answers. Hartman's voice dropped, firm but gentle. Claire, your mother didn't just betray your uncle. She betrayed you. This will hurt more than you imagine. We need to do this safely with officers present. I stared at her. Tears blurred my vision. My own mother set me up to fail, I whispered. My sister helped destroy my life. And all of it. Just to hide 1,998? Hartman placed a steady hand on my arm. You were never the failure, Claire. You were the threat. Her words hit me like a punch to the chest. I wasn't weak. I wasn't unwanted. I wasn't the family embarrassment. I was the one person who could ruin everything they'd spent 25 years protecting. I wiped my face. Fine, I said, voice icy. Take me to them. Let's hear the truth from their mouths. Agent Hartman didn't drive fast, but every mile felt like a countdown. My pulse throbbed in my throat, the entire ride. By the time we turned onto my mother's street, a quiet row of trimmed lawns and perfect porches, I felt lightheaded. This is it? Hartman asked. I nodded stiffly. Yeah, the beige one. She always wanted it to look like a magazine cover. Officers will enter with us, Hartman said. We don't know how your family will react. I almost laughed. I do. Two DHS field officers stepped out of the second SUV behind us. Ramirez had followed too, his expression tight with concern. I didn't know why he cared, but I was grateful someone did. We walked up the steps. Hartman knocked. A moment. Then the door cracked open, and my mother's face appeared in the gap. Linda Dawson looked the same as always. Perfectly styled hair. Lipstick neatly applied. Eyes sharp as razors. But when she saw the badge on Hartman's belt, the color drained from her skin like water spilling off paint. "No," she whispered. "No, not here. Mrs. Dawson," Hartman said calmly. "We need to speak with you." My mother's gaze snapped to me. "Claire," she hissed. "What have you done?" That was it. That was the spark. All the years of bitterness, humiliation, and emotional cutting finally ignited inside me. "What have I done?" I stepped forward. "Mom, you stole my identity, kicked me out of Dad's house, let Megan and Jason ruin my life, and you're asking what I've done?" Her lips flattened. "You don't speak to me that way." "Oh, I'm just getting started," I said. Hartman nodded to the officers, who stepped inside and secured the entry. "Where's Megan?" Hartman asked. "Not home," my mother lied instantly. Heavy footsteps echoed upstairs. "Megan!" I shouted. Silence, then a door slammed. I could feel something snap inside me. "You're hiding her? Seriously? After everything she's done?" My mother's voice turned shrill. "This is all your fault, Claire. You always bring trouble. Ever since. Ever since 1998? I cut in. She froze. Her eyes locked on mine. For the first time in my entire life, I saw fear real, naked fear ripple through her expression. "Don't," she whispered. "Don't you dare bring that up." But I had waited 25 years for this. "What happened to Uncle Ethan?" I demanded. "What did you do?" Her breath shuddered. Behind us, the officers stayed silent. Even Hartman didn't interrupt. I took a step closer. "He trusted you, Mom. He trusted us. And you let him walk into an explosion." "I didn't know!" she screamed, suddenly. The room went dead quiet. My mother clutched the back of a chair, her whole body trembling violently. "I didn't know they'd kill him," she said, voice cracking. "I didn't know what they were planning. I didn't know he'd confront me that night." My chest tightened painfully. "You worked with them," I whispered. "You moved the files." Her lips quivered. "I needed the money. For you girls, for the house, the bills your father was dying. I thought it was harmless bookkeeping. But it wasn't," I said. "And when Ethan found out," she covered her ears like a child. "Stop. Stop. Mom," I shouted. "Look at me." She looked, and for the first time in my life, I saw the truth in her eyes. Guilt, fear, and a lifetime of running. "I've protected you," she whispered. "I've protected this family for 25 years. You didn't protect us," I said. "You destroyed me." Footsteps pounded down the stairs. Megan appeared at the bottom step, hair tousled, mascara smudged from sleep or crying. She glared at me like I was the intruder. "What the hell is going on?" Hartman turned toward her. "Megan Dawson, we need to ask you about financial documents connected to..." Megan threw up her hands. "Oh my God, Claire, really? You brought the feds to Mom's house?" "Megan," I said quietly. "Tell the truth," she scoffed. "For what? You're the one who can't handle life. You always make everything dramatic." Jason appeared behind her, sleepy but stone-faced. When he saw the officers, he stiffened. "Jason Miller?" Hartman asked. "We have questions for you regarding contact with..." He cut her off. "That's enough. We want lawyers." I stepped toward them. "Megan, did you use my name to open credit lines because someone told you to? Or because you wanted to ruin my life?" She flinched, not physically, but in her eyes. Jason's jaw clenched. "Don't answer that." But Megan's voice cracked. "They said it would help us," she whispered. "They said you didn't matter." "My God," I breathed. "Mom told you that?" Silence. My mother's face was twisted, guilt and rage battling inside her. Megan continued, voice trembling now. "They said if you stayed out of the family's business, everything would be fine." "The family's business?" I spat. "Covering up a federal crime? Protecting the man who approached Mom in 1998? The same man you're meeting now?" Megan's head snapped up. "You don't know anything. We know. Hartman said sharply. She tapped her tablet. A photo projected onto the wall. Megan, standing beside the same man from the 1998 photo with my mother. My sister's face turned chalk white. Jason whispered, "Megan, what did you do?" Megan shook her head rapidly. "I didn't know who he was. He said he could help us get rid of Claire's debts, fix things, protect Mom." "Protect Mom from what?" I yelled. "From me? From the truth?" My mother burst into tears. "I was trying to save us," she sobbed. "If the truth came out, we'd lose everything. I couldn't let that happen. I couldn't let you." "Let me what?" I cried. She lifted her face. "Let me see the truth? Let me speak? Let me exist?" Her lips parted. "Let you remember." The room spun. "Remember? Remember what?" And then it hit me, hard, like a door of memory slamming open all at once. I did remember something. Something from 1998. Something my mother never wanted me to speak out loud. I staggered back, but the memory wasn't clear yet. Only one thing was. My family didn't betray me because I was weak. They betrayed me because they were terrified of what I might remember. Everything after my mother's confession blurred into motion, officers speaking into radios, Hartman issuing rapid commands, Megan sobbing into her hands while Jason paced like a trapped animal. But inside my skull, a single word kept echoing. Remember. Remember what? Hartman placed a gentle but firm hand on my shoulder. "Claire, we need to go. Now." "Where?" I whispered. "To the warehouse," she said. "The one from 1998. It's not was never day." My lungs tightened. "The one that exploded?" She nodded. "We believe your uncle hid something there before he confronted your mother. And we believe the man who's been pressuring your family has been looking for it ever since." My legs went numb. "Claire," Hartman said softly. "You may have seen something that night, something we need." I didn't want to remember. I'd buried that night so deeply that even my dreams couldn't reach it. But a small, trembling part of me knew the truth. Some memories don't die. They wait. The building looked smaller than I remembered. Maybe because the last time I saw it, it was on fire. 27 years ago, I stood in this exact spot, my pink jacket sleeve melted from the heat while Uncle Ethan's car burned like a sun collapsing. I shivered as Hartman led me inside the taped-off ruin. Officers scanned the area, flashlights cutting through dust and darkness. "Claire," Hartman said, handing me a flashlight. "Walk me through the night. Anything you recall, no matter how small." I swallowed hard. My mouth felt dry as ash. "I remember Mom yelling," I whispered, "telling me to get back in the car." "What else?" "I remember a man," I said, eyes narrowing as images flickered in my mind like broken film. Tall, gray jacket. He was shouting at Uncle Ethan. Something about leaking files. "What did Ethan say?" Hartman asked tightly. I closed my eyes. Voices rose inside my head, distorted, static-filled. Then, suddenly, one sentence cut through. "I already told the feds. It's over." My eyes snapped open. "I remember," I whispered. He said, "I already told the feds. It's over." The man grabbed him. They struggled. Then there was a flash. Not from the explosion. No. Something else. I walked toward a half-collapsed shelving unit drawn by instinct more than memory. I pushed aside a charred metal panel, and there it was. A hidden steel case, rusted but intact. Hartman exhaled sharply. Good God. 2 gloves, a set of old ID cards, a data drive, and 3 small black notebooks wrapped in plastic. Hartman opened one notebook and her jaw tightened. "Claire," she said slowly, "these are detailed logs. Names, amounts, dates of payments, transactions tied to the same defense breach your uncle was investigating." She flipped a page. "And some are from after 1998. CD. I froze. "Meaning what?" "Meaning someone continued the operation," she said. "Possibly the same man we saw in the recent photos. Possibly someone close to your family." My stomach dropped. Jason. The thought hit like a punch. He married Megan only a year after Dad died, just when Mom became vulnerable again. He was always lurking near financial documents, offering help with tax returns. Hartman grabbed her radio. "Move on the suspects, now." Within minutes, officers swarmed my mother's house again. We watched from Hartman's vehicle as agents approached. Jason stepped onto the porch, hands raised but defiant. You people have nothing, he shouted. This is harassment. Hartman rolled down her window. We have federal records, Mr. Miller. We have transactions linking you to the same contact your mother-in-law met in 1998. Jason's face drained of color. Megan staggered out behind him, hysterical. You said it was just money laundering. You said nobody was getting hurt. I gasped. What did you just say? Megan broke down completely. He promised he'd fix everything. He said Claire just had to disappear, go broke, lose credibility, then the heat would die down. Disappear. Go broke. Lose credibility. The ground beneath me felt like water. I whispered. He used you. Megan sobbed into her hands. Claire. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. Jason lunged as officers cuffed him. You don't know what you're doing. You're messing with powerful people. People like who? Hartman cut in. Jason hesitated. Then, with venom in his voice. You think Ethan Walker was the hero? He wasn't. He was a liability. And Claire will be too if you're not careful. My blood ran cold. That sounds like a threat, Hartman said sharply. Jason laughed, a sharp, ugly sound. You have no idea how deep it goes. The officers shoved him into the back of the SUV. As the cars pulled away, flashing red-blue, a migraine slammed behind my eyes. Claire? Hartman asked. Talk to me. I see something, I whispered. From 1998. Something I forgot. What is it? I pressed a hand to my forehead. I wasn't just standing outside the warehouse, I said slowly. I was closer. Uncle Ethan pushed me behind a crate. He told me to stay down. What else? Hartman urged. I saw the man pull something from his jacket. A device, small, square. He placed it under Ethan's car. Hartman inhaled sharply. An explosive trigger, yes. And then... I choked out. The man looked directly at me. Straight at me. He saw me. I speeding of the pus of his expressions. Do you recognize him now? My voice trembled. He's older, but yes. I saw his picture in Mom's folder. Hartman's entire expression shifted. Claire, your testimony just broke a 27-year federal cold case. I staggered back against the hood of the car, breath shaking. Everything I lost, I whispered. My home, my job, my family, all of it. Hartman nodded. It was never because you were weak, Claire. It was because you were the witness. I wiped my eyes, trembling. I wasn't the family failure. I wasn't the burden. I was the threat they couldn't silence. Not then, not now, not ever. The next 48 hours moved like a storm in fast forward. Federal agents raided the man's safe house, the same man who once stood with my mother in that 1998 photo. The same man who planted the explosive under my uncle's car. His real name wasn't what he told my family. He'd been using aliases for decades. He was arrested before sunrise. Jason was charged with obstruction of justice, conspiracy, and aiding a federal fugitive. Megan was charged with fraud and identity theft. My mother, Linda Dawson, was not arrested, but she was taken in for extended questioning. I didn't go with her. I'd spent my entire life holding her hand through storms she created. Not this one. I sat in a quiet DHS waiting room long after everyone else had left. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. My clothes smelled like the inside of a car. My nails were chipped from months of stress. My face felt hollow, fragile. Agent Hartman approached and sat beside me like we'd known each other for years. You holding up? She asked gently. I let out a breath. I didn't know I'd been holding. Everything I thought I knew about my family. My voice cracked. It wasn't real. It was real to you, she said. And that makes the betrayal even worse. I wiped my eyes. Do you know what hurts most? I whispered. Not that they used me. Not that they destroyed my life. But that I believed them. When they told me I was nothing. Hartman's expression softened in a way I hadn't seen before. Claire, she said. You survived something most people would never recover from. You remembered what mattered. You stood up to them. You told the truth. She paused. That makes you the strongest person in this entire case. For a moment, I just stared at her. No one had ever said something like that to me. Not once. Not even Ethan. And suddenly, the first breath of freedom in years filled my chest. Later that afternoon, Hartman slid a folder across the table. You're entitled to federal victim restitution, she explained, and whistleblower compensation for the information your uncle hid, and your testimony that closed the case. I blinked. What does that mean? It means, she said with a small smile, you're no longer homeless. Inside the folder were numbers I couldn't process at first, enough to pay off every debt Megan and Jason left in my name. Enough for a small home, enough to start again. Claire, she said, you were never meant to live out of a car. Your uncle made sure of that. Tears flooded my eyes. Thank you, I whispered. For everything. You thank me by rebuilding your life, she replied, and living it the way Ethan would have wanted. I have deduced Sal's name Kroops. It is not made bust Harmon. A week later, DHS arranged a final supervised meeting with my mother. She looked older, smaller. Her hands trembled in her lap. Claire, she said softly, I know you hate me. I swallowed hard. I don't hate you. Her eyes filled. Then why won't you come home? Home? I said, almost laughing. Mom, I never had a home with you. She flinched. I loved you, she whispered. You feared me, I corrected. You feared what I might remember. You feared what would happen if the truth got out. Her lips trembled. I was trying to protect myself. I know, I said quietly. But you didn't have to destroy me to do it. A single tear slid down her cheek. What happens now? She asked. I took a breath. You get help. You tell the truth. You take responsibility. And us? She asked. Are we still? I shook my head slowly. I'm letting go, I said. But I'm not going back. Her shoulders sagged. She nodded. I walked away without turning back. For the first time in my life, she didn't call after me. 3 weeks later, I stood inside a small, sunlit apartment on the edge of Denver, my apartment. My own 4 walls. My own key. No more sleeping in a car. No more hiding in parking lots. No more begging for love that hurt me. I placed a photo of Uncle Ethan on my kitchen counter, the same one Hartman gave me from the recovered case. Thank you, I whispered. I lit a candle beside it, the flame flickering warmly. With restitution money, I reopened my freelance design business, this time as a legal LLC, with my own equipment, my own clients. No one controlling my bank accounts but me. I volunteered with a homeless resource center twice a week. I knew exactly how it felt to be invisible. I met Officer Ramirez for coffee one morning. He grinned when he saw me in clean clothes, hair brushed, standing tall. Big improvement from that night, huh? He joked. I laughed, a real, full laugh. You have no idea. You know, he said after a moment, something told me to run your license. I almost didn't. Intuition? I asked. He shook his head. Fate. I smiled. Maybe he was right. The day Megan was sentenced, I didn't go. The day Jason was extradited for federal charges, I didn't watch. I didn't need revenge. The truth had already done what it was meant to do. What I needed was peace. And I finally had it. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the mountains, painting the sky in hues of gold and blue, I stood on my balcony and breathed in the cold Colorado air. For the first time in years, it didn't hurt. I wasn't the family failure. I wasn't the burden. I wasn't the disappointment. I was the witness, the survivor. The one my uncle trusted to finish what he couldn't. And I did. I closed my eyes, letting the stillness settle around me. I'm okay now, I whispered into the wind. I'm finally okay. And for the first time in my life, I believed it.